I've been told, you've been told, we've all been told that the purpling of Arizona is definite 100% happening right now. Biden is up in the polls, and you can expect a complete and utter blue wave to wash through the entire state. Now, my eyes don't deceive me on this one. A 96-mile long impromptu Trump rally. That's got to mean something, right? Something tells me that this enthusiasm for President Trump is going to follow it down the ballot. And I've done a few videos on Arizona at the mayoral level and at the senatorial level as well. And while I'm not going to do a complete deep dive into the different districts that are at the city and the state and the federal level, this would be a 3-hour long video if I was to do all that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh everybody's memory on the senatorial race that's out there, the mayoral race, and we're going to pick out a specific candidate on the city council who I think is a great pick to be on there. And then we're going to take a look at one of the federal house races for a guy who is a total badass. So hopefully you want to join me along on this one. First and foremost, we'll refresh your memory on Martha McSally, the absolute badass fighter pilot who is currently, and now she is up for re-election, and she totally deserves your vote because she is running against a serial gun grabber and would work alongside Kyrsten Sinema, the other Democratic senator in Arizona, which is baffling to really think about, to further the wildly progressive agenda of the Democratic Party. Now, I won't bore you with all of the details. I have about a 30-minute long video between the differences of Mark Kelly and Martha McSally. They are numerous and they are significant, and Martha McSally is a great senator. She is, well, I'll just give you the highlights. If you're worried about her going rogue and doing the old policies of John McCain, have no worry. She is somebody who is voting at a 95% clip in accordance with the Republican Party. Like I said, she is a retired fighter pilot, and that you cannot imagine a more badass position. The first female fighter pilot out there. She has definitely shattered glass ceilings when it comes to that regard, and someone I cannot recommend highly enough. Please do, if you are interested, take the time to watch the other video, which I'll be linking right around here. And speaking of other videos, this one has done fairly well because there are a lot of people that are interested in the mayoral race in Phoenix, and I think you should be because currently you have Kate Gallego, a name that we might be revisiting here in a little bit. It is not a good situation Phoenix is finding itself in. Mayor Kate likes to manage the city of Phoenix like it is a small infant, something that is not a living, breathing object, but rather searches to suffocate it at every turn. Marissa Hamilton, in contrast, is very much a freedom-loving person, somebody who had the guts and the tenacity to challenge John McCain in 2016, which, yeah, she absolutely gets props for that. She is somebody who is all about freedom, liberty, and the American way. Something you can't say about Mayor Kate, but if you are interested in all of the good aspects of being an Arizonan and being an American, you have one selection to make. And for a more in-depth compare and contrast between Kate Gallego and Marissa Hamilton, please do watch that video as well. I won't bore you with the extra details. So now we'll hop into the city council and Nicole Garcia running in District 3. I would have done a much more comprehensive breakdown of the city council because I think that city council and mayor races are very important. Take a look at my Baltimore City Council and Baltimore at large kind of analysis here from a couple weeks ago for the fact that you need to know who and what kind of ideas are running through your city council because they have the greatest effect. Even though government really shouldn't be overstepping its bounds, it has the greatest effect on your day-to-day life. And you need to have good people with good ideas in those positions. And at least in District 3, Nicole Garcia has gone through the requisite time needed to put her ideas out there for you to judge for yourself, which so many other candidates hadn't. It's shocking. All of the odd districts, not like the people that are odd, but the odd numbered districts, District 1, 3, 5, and 7, are up for election. And Arizona, Phoenix, more specifically, has the nonpartisan tag on every one of its candidates because it wants to be seen as an impartial ideas first district, and it's very easy to see once you do a little bit of research whether or not these people are actually Democrats or Republicans in disguise. And because Arizona has been such a ruby red state for such a very long time, you can have a lot of these Democrats in hiding. Like, they don't even have to put the Democratic badge out there. You see that very, very prominently with Mark Kelly. You go onto his page there, the senator or the Democratic nominee for senator running against Martha McSally. You don't see even a sniff of a Democratic logo or any kind of branding on there, because this is the state of Barry Goldwater after all. But you can tell, hey, when you're running through these different campaign websites, the different campaign Twitters, depends on what they endorse and what they're talking about, you can really tell. But with District 3 here, you got a clear-cut choice, somebody whose principles and whose values really line up with what I'm like and what this whole channel properly encompasses, as well as highlights. And Nicole Garcia is a great choice, and she's actually gone through the time of doing campaign ads, which you look up in Baltimore, Giovanni Patterson has definitely done, and a lot of them are very short and to the point, very humorous, and I really like the guy. He's a family first, freedom, information guy, and that's what we find here with Nicole Garcia as well. So we'll go through her Ballotpedia survey that she took the time to fill out, unlike many other people who are trying to sit on city council. Listen, I don't want to disparage these people. They might be nice, but I couldn't find any information on them. And if they want to get elected, you have to put your ideas out there, people. Honestly, you can't just, oh, I want to run. Okay, what do you want to run on? No, I'm running. Just vote for me. Nobody successful does that. And that's why I'm glad to see Nicole took the time to do this. So here's another thing that I like to see. I'm an ordinary resident passionate about truth and doing the right thing. Somebody who is not a politician coming in and stepping up in order to correct the wrongs that have been going on in their community. Who knows the community better than somebody that lives there? I like to see somebody who's spent significant amount of time in a specific place before they start to run for city council, because as you can tell, and if you're in Arizona and you know this all too well, too many Californians like to come over and think, oh boy, the lower taxes, less regulation, this sure is great. What can I do to make this better? Oh yeah, institute all of those policies I ran away from to begin with. Yeah, you want the people that have been there for a long enough time, people who have voted the traditional way, and as you're seeing in Arizona, that's not exactly the case, and that makes me very, very sad, because potentially one day I would like to live in Arizona. I see it as being the bastion, the absolute pinnacle of the Wild West, and I come from a long line of outlaws and wild men on one half of the family, and I couldn't think of a better place to settle down than the home of Rob Halford. So Nicole continues this out. I come from the private sector where I have worked in administration since 2010. I love people and want to do right by them. Sounds like a good message to me. So 3 pillars of her campaign: supporting law enforcement. Yes, exactly. Anybody who says that out loud without any qualifiers is already piqued my interest. Small business advocate. How do you grow a city without small business? Honestly, look at Portland. Yeah, look at Portland. That's the example of what not to do. And fiscal accountability, because guess what? You can't just print money. Printing money solves absolutely no problems, guys. What areas of public policy are you personally passionate about? Now, I've done something on my own for my own community. Grand Prairie has a rampant homeless and opioid epidemic problem, and it shouldn't be. It is an economic powerhouse when it comes to wealth and opportunities, and I see Phoenix as potentially being the exact same way. It was founded on the 5 C's, remember? Copper, cattle, cotton, citrus, and climate. A wide-ranging economic bounty that's just there for the taking, there to enrich the community. And as you can see here, safe and clean communities where we raise our families. The consideration recently given to funding our police department was unwise and should be a wake-up call to us all. Yeah, any district that defunded their police department is absolutely kicking their own collective asses right now because it has backfired tremendously. The one thing I will give Lori Lightfoot in Chicago is when she increased the police presence, it was a significant and swift crackdown on the violence that was happening there. Now, has she been completely consistent in those ideologies? Absolutely not. She is a terrible human being, and don't you forget that. Meanwhile, everywhere else it has failed significantly, and they're trying to backpedal toot sweet. Government infringement on rights. I think I talk about this at least twice a day in different videos, and I love to see it here. The shutdown was a disaster, and I never want to see it happen like that again. I am smiling from ear to ear. I love to see this. You love to see it. Fiscal accountability and responsibility. City officials have the duty to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Yeah, it's not just a blank check. When you are elected to public office, you are to serve the public. And when you're going through the trouble of collecting local taxes, you better make sure that representing the public means representing their interests and not just their little special interest groups that a small, minuscule minority want. You're looking at the community at large. And as the most populous capital city in regards to the states, you have an enormous electorate that you are charged with looking after. And that's why I'm so passionate about local governments, because they know what's best for the community. And to just crystallize the fact that she is a new wave Republican, and that is a good thing. That is not a bad thing. Like if you'd say new wave Democrat compared to old school Democrat, I think you get the point. Is there a book, essay, film, or something else that you would recommend to somebody who wants to understand your political philosophy? And this is where, if you didn't already, love the policies of Nicole Garcia. Liberty and Tyranny by Mark Levin. Genius. Absolutely genius. If you guys live in District 3, please do take the time to mark your name next to Nicole Garcia, because this is somebody who's going to stand up for your individual rights and freedoms at the local level. Next up, we are just going to do a quick overview of what's going on at the federal level in the House. Now, the House is looking a little bit weird right now. It's looking like it's going to be at about 5 seats, give or take, one way or another. And as you can see here, in the ruby red state of Arizona, you have 4 of 5 congressmen and women on the Republican ticket. And we're going to be looking at District 7, currently held by Ruben Gallego. Wow, doesn't that name sound familiar? It almost sounds like that is the ex-husband of Kate Gallego. It's because it is, folks. We're going to do a little bit more of a compare and contrast, just a little quick hitter for you. So, Ruben Gallego, the man who's currently holding the position, is a round-faced little fellow who has been in office since 2015. And he's worked for many subcommittees like the Indigenous People and the 116th Congress. And he was also a House rep at the state level before ascending to the federal level from 2011 to 2014. He is a dyed-in-the-wall Democrat. If you don't believe me, I will just pull up his Twitter page here right quick. I will leave that there for a second for you all to marvel at. I think you can make your decision based on that. And if that doesn't sway you enough, here's what he's voted on. Terminating border wall emergency declaration. Reimpose federal net neutrality rules. Expand restriction on online campaign ads. Regulate foreign involvement in elections. Impeach President Trump for abuse of power. Impeach President Trump for obstruction of justice. Direct President Trump to end hostilities against Iran. Provide federal aid for coronavirus economic impacts. It can't all be bad, right? Renew foreign surveillance authorization. This dude loves to impinge and infringe on your rights. Don't get it twisted. He's not just one of those good old school, working class Democrats. There aren't very many of those left, by the way. And, Senor Gallego there. Steer clear of him because you have an excellent ass kicker running against him. Mr. Josh Barnett. Now, if you're an old school mixed martial artist fan like I am, you immediately recognize that name and you associate badassery with it. Now, it's not the exact same person, but he's a big dude too, so that helps. Now, just like Nicole Garcia, he actually took the time to fill out the Ballotpedia survey. Somebody who wants to get his message out there and has done significant and awesome campaign videos as well. So he's all about people over politics, small business owner committed to protecting our constitutional republic. Yeah, you'll love to hear it. And here we go. Pro-God, pro-gun, pro-life, pro-equality, America first. I feel like I should have a flag unfurl behind me but after that. And just to really send it home, I believe the Constitution is a supreme law of the land. And I believe equality and opportunity for all Americans, not equality alone. Because we all know, if you've been watching the past content, equality by itself eventually results in gulags. But enough with the survey. This is a little too impersonal. Let's go right to Mr. Barnett's campaign page itself. So he's got 6 pillars of his campaign: immigration, the economy, corruption, parental rights, gun rights, and defending life. We'll do a quick once over. For several decades now, criminals have been using our southern border not just for drugs and weapons smuggling, but also human trafficking. As you can see here, that is a huge issue when it comes to Josh, and it really should be to you too, because there is nothing more treacherous and evil, in my opinion, than child trafficking and human trafficking in general. We don't need to get terribly dark in this video, but just know that it's not pretty. It's really not pretty. A lack of action has allowed for a true humanitarian crisis at our southern border. Men, women, and children are falling victim to this as they attempt to enter America for a better life. I'm looking to find real solutions to these problems, and I have already begun working on bipartisan legislation that will work fairly and compassionately for America and the people. And as long as he is for the border wall, as long as he is for legal immigration, legal skilled immigration. I've said it a bunch of times, and I think you guys should definitely be behind legal skilled immigration, because that helps your country grow. In the first statement here, U.S. admits between 700,000 and 900,000 legal immigrants into the United States every year. And by all means, continue that. And then we popped on over to gun rights here, and it's literally a mirror image of what Mark Kelly's all about. Shall not be infringed. As your congressman, I will work tirelessly to defend the Second Amendment and oppose any legislation that violates a citizen's right to bear arms. Well, if Joe Biden manages to squeak in there and Josh Barnett finds his way into the House, God willing, he will have his work cut out for him, because that is something else I've also laid out as well. Joe Biden is a horrific gun grabber, always has been, always will be. And this right here is just a great line that should be it should realistically be right up here underneath his name. I will never trade our freedom for a false sense of security. And that is what we're all living through right now, in case you haven't noticed. Now, I just want to go through this one because it's not said enough, and it's very, very important. And it's normally characterized as being just some kind of fringe idea, but you guys understand that having 2 parents in a household increases the child's odds for success immensely. There is no other predictor of success greater than having 2 parents in the household. And Josh Barnett, in the first time that I've done multiple candidate profiles, this is the first time I've ever seen something like this, and I cannot commend him enough for putting it out there. The right of the parent is endowed by our Creator and should never be infringed upon by any individual, organization, or government. All parents should have the freedom to make the choices for their child's health, education, and religious and moral teachings. Child abuse is real, and every one victim is too many. Unfortunately, our government has expanded abuse to mean Big Brother knows best. Financial incentives have made child protection agencies ripe for corruption. Parental alienation is at an all-time high, and fathers' rights have continued to diminish. I am currently working on state legislation to assist in passing legislation that will restore due process in the family courts. We must stop parents from losing their rights and their children because of a bitter divorce or a financial incentives child protection officer, medical provider, or judge. That is powerful. That is very, very powerful. Now, I don't have any concrete evidence to this, but I have, of course, anecdotal evidence. We all grew up in a time where, well, divorce was going up for just and obvious reasons, right? I've had several friends who grew up in broken homes, and they were taught by their mother to hate their father. And At the time, I didn't really think too much of it. I just kind of went along with it because, oh, okay, yeah, you don't really see the father that much because the mother has rights during the entire week, and you go after school and you play with your friends. But then, on the off chance that you'd go and hang out with your buddy at his dad's house when, okay, he's got shit to do and it's not that important this weekend that they spend every single moment together, yeah, okay, bring over a friend. And then I realized that, you know what, this guy's actually, not that bad. He provides a very nice house that my friend got to come over and visit every weekend or on the holidays as well. And I was always welcome there. He just seemed like a nice guy. He just couldn't hang out with the wicked woman who he had my friend with. Now, he always looked out. He paid for his schooling through college. He paid for everything that my friend ever wanted. And now with hindsight, I can see how that is just a terrible, terrible disadvantage that was afforded to his father. Like, okay, yeah, you get to flip the bill and get indoctrinated throughout the entire week, and then only on weekends and some holidays you get to see him. Now, I'm not casting his mother as being a terrible person, but getting to know both parties, they both had an equal right to have some sort of an equal custody agreement that just was never afforded at the time. Now, this was the late 90s, early 2000s. Things might have changed, but I know that they are changing for the worse, in fact. So it's very important that this gets highlighted. I think that it's definitely the first time I've ever seen it come across. There's a lot of, family incentives out there keeping the families together, but on the off chance that, it's just an unwinnable situation for both parties, and the best thing they can do is just split up. Yeah, there needs to be father's rights as much as there is just the tendency to defer to the mother in every case. So yeah, guys, that's my quick little study on what is going on in Arizona right now. It's apparently supposed to be quite a hotly contested state, but by all indicate, come on, 96 miles of Trump supporters, give me a break. It is hopefully going to translate to being a down ballot success for other Republicans and other conservatives, and especially at the local level where they're labeled as being nonpartisan. Hopefully I give you a good introduction on District 3, Nicole Garcia being a great, great candidate. At your senatorial level, Martha McSally, there's nobody quite as accomplished and skilled as she is at the position. So definitely there. Josh Barnett at the House level, the man is talking about stuff that definitely needs to be highlighted. And he has a great head on his shoulders. And come on, he's also a former UFC heavyweight champion. And last but not least, shout out to Marissa Hamilton for Mayor of Phoenix. Nobody fights as hard for her ideas as she does, and she will for the Phoenix people. Thank you very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.